Welcome to This Week in Tiger Athletics. I'm your host, Haley White, and joining me now is Mcil Robinson, a 184-pound senior from Wichita. He's 18-2 overall this season, and he finished third at the Bob Smith Open on Sunday, with his only loss coming to a Division I Oklahoma State wrestler. He won the Dan Harris Open and the Sweet Open to start the season. He finished third at the UNK Holiday Inn Open before taking third at Bob Smith Open last weekend. He wrestled at 184 and 174 pounds last season. So first off, congratulations on a solid weekend. How nice is it to come out and have a successful weekend in front of a home crowd?
It feels pretty good. I had a lot of fans that supported out to come out and watch us wrestle, and I really enjoyed that. I think it encouraged us to wrestle better as well. So it feels pretty good to know me, myself, and all the rest of us wrestle pretty good.
So you're 18-2 overall so far this season. Are you happy with the way your year has gone so far?
Definitely. Definitely my best year so far throughout my college career, and I wanted to make sure wrestling pretty good, and so far so good.
What's been the key earlier this year with you, with having finished first twice and then third 2 other times?
I'm not focusing so much on how I'm finishing in the tournaments. I'm just focusing a lot on how I'm wrestling. Me and Coach Thompson have spent a lot of time during the off season and even while we're in season, kind of focusing on the little things and getting me ready for big matches later on in the year to when it comes time. So right now I'm just kind of going into these matches, learning a lot, and making sure I'm doing the little things right. And so far it's paying off, but that's mainly what I'm looking for.
And you've wrestled from anywhere to 197 pounds to 174 while you're here at FHSU. Do you feel like the 184-pound range is a good place for you to be at?
Yeah, I enjoy this weight a lot. 174 is it's a little bit outside of my range for a weight cut, but I can make it. It just kind of sucks me down a little bit more. But I feel comfortable at 184, more or less.
And last year, you spent time at both. You went 15 and 13 overall last year, and now have 18 wins this season. Did you expect to be able to start so strong?
I didn't. Yeah, that was my goals. Yes. I didn't know what I was going to do until we do it. But yeah, I did want to come out and make sure I came out to start the season off with a bang.
And last weekend at the Bob Smith Open, your only loss came to the NCAA Division I opponent, Anthony Mcil of Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm. Wrestlers never like to take a loss, but was it an easier pill to swallow knowing that you lost to such a tough competitor?
In a way, I wrestled 2 Oklahoma State kids last weekend. The second one was in the 3rd and 4th place match. And, I don't want to lose to those kids either. I don't want to lose to anybody. But it ain't the fact that who I lost to, is just kind of live and learn from it. So, yeah, he was a tough opponent. I went out there and there's some things I needed to change to make sure I can win next time. But
what did you learn in that match that can help you for the rest of the season?
I got caught in a chicken wing, so I don't know if everybody knows what that is. But me and Coach Thompson talked about it and made some adjustments. And I haven't really spent a lot of time in that position. That's a bad position to be in. And so I'm not very good there, obviously. But Coach Thompson kind of went over it with me, and we made some adjustments. So if I get put in that later in the season, I should know what to do.
You begin MIAA dual action this Friday at Central Oklahoma. What are your thoughts on the conference season as it approaches?
Definitely to win these duels. This is UCL will be a big duel for us, and my intent, all I can do is my match, obviously. But I need to go out there and beat him. He's a pretty tough opponent. He was at the Kearney Open as well, and he's the one that actually took first. And I took third, but I didn't wrestle him. I wrestled the guy who took second. So to go out there and beat him would be a big thing. But
The conference schedule is a bit different with a dual format instead of an open tourney style format. Does it take a different focus going into a dual where you only wrestle once per night as opposed to a tourney style where you wrestle several?
It does make a difference. I mean, the dual format is still the same as for, you know, any other year. It's just the fact that they took out the MIAA conference tournament. That kind of, I don't like that as much, because when it comes to, like, you know, where you're at in the conference, it's only based on duels, which is fair to say as well.
Right.
But I mean, I'm rolling with the flow. If that's what, you know, the MIAA wants to do, then I'm okay with it too. And just need to go out there and win every duel.
And you're only a few wins away from eclipsing your previous best win total for the season with 24. What would that mean as a senior to be able to put your best season out there?
It mean a lot. You know, this is my 5th year of wrestling, and I came back to definitely go out with a bang. Right now, I'm leading the team in wins, and I'm trying to, you know, keep up with that by the end of the year and hopefully achieve that award as well. But definitely, being my last year, I want to make sure I win as much as I can.
And obviously the regional tournament will be tough once again later on in the season. What will it take to make it through the regional and into the national championships in Cleveland?
You know, me and another wrestler on the team, been talking about this a lot. But it's a tough regional this year, considering they changed up the style of it. They only taking top 3 instead of top 4, and obviously that's one less person to go. And I've never made it to a national tournament, but that's definitely one of my highest goals. And to make it there is obviously to place at regionals top 3. And so, you know, beating the key people that I need to be beating throughout the season, gaining that confidence, and when it comes time to get to the regional tournament, doing whatever it takes to make sure I'm one of the top 3 people out there on the stand.
With this being your final season wrestling as a Tiger, what would be the perfect ending to your season?
Definitely All-American. Making it to the national tournament, placing in the top 8 is my personal goal. Me All-American, and then as a team, you know, we have some quality guys on the team, and I feel like if I can achieve my personal goals and some of the other wrestlers, they show out as well, I feel like we can easily make top 5 team in the nation. If not, you know, national championship is the ultimate goal.
And what are your plans after graduation?
I did an internship with a company called Mcil Gordon last summer, and they extended me a full-time job offer. I'd be a field engineer for them. So as soon as wrestling season's done, I'll go start working for them.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And when we return, we will break down the rest of this week in athletics.
The Tiger Media Network is Fort Hays State University's independent student media organization. It's a student employment opportunity where you can work for either the news side or the sports side. So you can be on live sports production, which produces all of the live sports broadcasts that we do, or you could be on the news side and do news stories covering things on campus, so presidential announcements, student government association. We bring that news to the student community and the Hays community as well.
You don't realize how much Fort Hays State has to offer until you're here.
I mean, it is definitely, this is the land of opportunity here.
I just got back from the MIAA tournament in Kansas City a couple weeks ago where we worked with other production crews including Pitt State and Central Missouri. And it's a great time. I've gone there the last couple of years.
For me anyway, I get to do sports, which is what I love. And if live productions is where that's at.
This is the perfect place to do it. We have almost everything that you could possibly imagine.
Tiger Media Network allows you the opportunity to take the skills you've learned and put them forward in a real world, real application setting that allows you to flourish and grow as a professional, and that will only help you and benefit you when you graduate and go into the real world workforce.
Welcome back to This Week in Tiger Athletics. Joining me now is FHSU SID Ryan Prickett, and he's going to help me break down the rest of This Week in Athletics. So FHSU men's soccer end their season on a scoreless draw in the NCAA National Semifinals.
Yeah, it was unfortunately a bitter way to end the year, kind of. Both teams played their hearts out in that match, and I thought we had a great opportunity to win that darn thing. I was there on the sidelines the whole time, taking some pictures, and I don't know, like in that shootout format, I think, it felt like, oh no, we're probably going to lose, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, we should win this, and then right back to, when the ball hit the crossbar and went up and over, and unfortunately we fell 5-4 on penalty kicks. It was a tug and pull type thing, of emotion there throughout that shootout. Got down, I think 2-1, and then we, got lucky. One guy hit the side post, and then we made one to tie it back up, and then they kicked it right into Colin's hands for the fifth attempt. And everybody knows it's 5 to start with, so all we had to do is make our attempt on that fifth try. To get to the national championship match, and unfortunately the goalkeeper for Barry made the save there, and then all of a sudden it got into a back and forth, and then unfortunately we missed. And so it was, both teams, it was a great match. I think both teams had great opportunities to score in that match. We might have even been lucky that we got to the overtime period, because they had a great opportunity where a ball hit a post in regulation. So it was a fun match, great experience for the guys. I think they really enjoyed being there, and it was awesome that it was a festival year, to where you kind of feel like it's kind of like an Olympic type thing, where you have that many sports there, and they all kind of descend on the Pittsburgh area, and they have an opening ceremony and all sorts of things. So it makes the athletes feel even kind of more special about the event that's going on, and I think the guys truly enjoyed that. And it was just, I think everybody was disappointed, and the season was over, but all in all it was a great experience to go do that and finally get over the hump and get to that national championship site. And so great year for the men's soccer team, 17-2-2, nothing to hang your head about. Had a tremendous season, and to have the national player of the year too. I mean, Santiago Agudelo, right there before we got into the games, he was named the national player of the year by the D2CCA. So 26 goal season, I mean, phenomenal year for him. So we look forward to hopefully seeing more of that next year out of him, since he's got one more year to go. So.
And to move on, we are not quite done talking about football. Jose Delgado and Dante Brown earned Super Region 3 first team honors. Delgado also earned the Defensive Player of the Year for the Super Region 3, and Doyen Jabowu also earned second team honors at the safety position.
Yeah, another great year for those three guys right there, as far as getting the Super Region honors. Of course, we were pretty balanced as a team. I think we had a few more Super Region honors last year as individually, just because of the numbers we put up last year were probably even a little more impressive than some of the numbers we put up this year. But for those three guys right there, Jose, obviously he's been a rock steady defender for us for all 4 years of his career, and over 100 tackles in the last 3 years for him, and to get over 400 career tackles, first guy to do that in our Division II history. That's kind of a little icing on the cake right there, award for him for all that hard work he's put in over the years. And so awesome to see him get the Defensive Player of the Year in the Super Region. So that means we've got 2 of the last 3 Super Region Defenders of the Year, basically. And people might think Nathan Shepard was one of those 2 last year, but he was actually one that Ferris State had a guy on their defensive line last year that got that honor. But that year before, Cito Jr., who was a defensive end for us, had, I think, 15 sacks that year, had amazing numbers up front defensively, and he was a Defensive Player of the Year in the region. So awesome to see us get that award 2 out of the last 3 years. And then Dante Brown, too. I mean, what a year kicking the ball. Shatters our single season scoring record. goes past the MIAA field goal record, almost got to the NCAA Division II single season field goal record. If we could have got through that game at Indianapolis, he might have been knocking at the door at breaking that record, because finishes the season with 28 field goals, 123 total points as a kicker. That's really racking it up as far as the points and how good he was for us this year. And you know, for him to finish just 2 field goals shy of the NCAA Division II single season record of 30, that was an impressive year for him, and we still got him for another year, and it's nice to have him both kicking and punting the ball. It's kind of the best of both worlds. He was all MIAA first team as a punter too, so that doesn't, you know, get overlooked as well. So tremendous year for him. And then Doyen, of course, you know, Doyen's been just like Jose, started all 48 games of his career at that bandit position, and Doyen has an opportunity. I know there's been scouts looking at him. He may have an opportunity to go on to the next level somewhere. We'll see how all that pans out when all that stuff starts to happen in the off season and in the springtime. But you know, he's another one that almost got to 300 career tackles, but so many of the other things that he did, you know, like back there as a safety, you know, picking off passes, all the pass breakups he had throughout his career. Just a rock steady tackler too. I mean, he's just a sound player for us, and it's great to see him get another Super Region honor. So.
And we talk about another great season coming from Fort Hays, the football. They had a great season. Delgado and Jabot will definitely be missed this season.
Yes.
To move on, talking more about wrestling, wrestler Brandon Ball earned the individual title during the Bob Smith Open this Sunday, and it was actually his 12th individual title that he has won.
Yeah, Brandon's he's one impressive wrestler for us, and he's still got a little bit of a career in front of him yet too. So awesome numbers he's put up so far as a wrestler here at Fort Hays State. Obviously undefeated here on the early season. He's only competed in a couple of tournaments so far, but Brandon's a returning All-American from his freshman year, and you know, he's just one of the best wrestlers in that weight class in the country. And unfortunately last year he had a little bit of rough patch right at the end of the season when you know, you can't have the rough patch. You go through that at the regional, kind of got a little bit of a tougher draw at the championships, and unfortunately wasn't able to grab All-American honors last year. But we know he's going to be in that mix again this year as long as he stays healthy. And after talking to Mcil there a little bit earlier, you know, the Tiger wrestling team might surprise some people this year to see some of the starts that some of our guys have had outside of, we know what we're going to get with Brandon, and also the likes of like FHSU guy who did get All-American honors last year, and he's a two-sport athlete here. He was on the men's soccer team till he turned his focus to wrestling, and so yeah, we've got some good athletes out there on the wrestling mat this year, and a lot of young guys, a lot of new faces, but we've been pretty pleased to see what's been going on in the early season here in these tournaments. So we might be able to make some noise when we get into the dual format and see what happens once we get down to the end of the year where the regionals and championships start to happen.
And to move on to Fort Hays basketball, the men capture a win at home last week with a 71-46 win over Central Christian.
Yeah, great, I guess, win to get prepared for MIAA play. I know the guys were a little bit weary of playing a lot of games in several days in a row there, and I think that could have been a trap game. Central Christian, you know, from what I understand, obviously I wasn't here that night because I was in Pittsburgh with the men's soccer team, but I know from talking with Coach Johnson and watching Central Christian against us last year, they were super athletic, and from what I heard, we played really good lockdown defense back on Tuesday night, and I'm pleasantly surprised that we knocked them off by 25 points, because they can definitely be a handful. They were the year before. We had to end the game on a 7-0 run the year prior to win by 7. We were tied with like 3 minutes to go. So they're an opponent you can't take lightly, and that was a great, I guess, stepping stone for our men's program as they get prepared to go into MIAA play this week. So.
And yeah, speaking of MIAA play, a little look into it. They got Nebraska Kearney at 7:30 tomorrow inside Gross Memorial Coliseum.
Yeah, always a rivalry game with when we get Kearney here in town. That kind of seems to be our natural basketball rival. They had been for years, especially in the RMAC days. That was our natural rival within conference play. Now, you go back beyond like the 90s and stuff like that, you go back to the 80s and the 70s, and we've kind of renewed our natural rivalries with the Kansas schools being in the MIAA now. But Emporia has always been a longtime rival. Washburn's been a longtime rival. But Kearney's one of those ones everybody knows about. When Kearney comes to town, it's a big matchup. So Kearney's 3-3 right now. We're 4-3. So I think both of us have had a little bit of, trying to figure ourselves out here early in the year, and so it'll be interesting to see what the Lopers come into town with on Tuesday night, and see if our guys can get the conference season started off on the right foot with hopefully a win. So.
And the women collect 6 wins with the 106-45 win over Missouri Valley on Saturday, and this is the 23rd time the program has scored 3 digits.
Yeah, that was an impressive performance by the women. I can't remember how many points it was in the third quarter, but I think it was darn near 40 that we put. I mean, we had already went over the 50 mark at halftime and had that game under control pretty handily, but then we really started pouring in the 3-point shots and all sorts of things in the third quarter, and really got some separation in that game. So women's program, obviously a top 10 program right now in the national rankings, very deserving of it by the way they've showed so far, but now it's the real test, as far as we get into MIAA play this week, and we've got a couple opponents sitting right in front of us that they'll be eager to give us a test. Obviously Nebraska Kearney last year kind of came on the scene on the women's side. They were in the picture to make the NCAA regional towards the end of the year, and then just kind of faded right at the wrong time. Carrie Amy, who is their head coach, is Tony Hobson's former assistant here, so she knows a lot about what we do here as a program. And so the little X's and O's of knowing what Tony does strategically, that's where she has a little bit of an advantage of when they play us. Is she knows what Tony likes to do, and likewise he knows what she likes to do. So it's a good matchup. It has been here for the last couple of years or so, as she's built that Nebraska Kearney program back into a very respectable program. And then obviously another big one coming up at the end of the week is going to be Emporia State. Emporia State is back to being healthy this year. They had a little bit of a down year last year, but they're perennially a team that's going to be in the top 25 usually, just the way their program has been. And those have been some great matchups in the last 4 or 5 years on the women's side. We've knocked Emporia off. I'm trying to think how many years now it's been, but I know 2 years in a row we beat them when they were the #1 team in the nation here at the Coliseum. And that's here of recent years. So it's always going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight with the Hornets. So those are 2 hard tests for our women to jump into MIAA play this week, and hopefully being on our home court, that's going to help us continue to have that undefeated start. And maybe if we could get through December undefeated, that would be quite an accomplishment for the women. But these are going to be the 2 big tests coming up this week to see if we can do that or not.
Well, thanks for joining me, Ryan.
Yep.
To stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit tigermedianet.com.